Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the channel where today, on the back of Halloween, I'm just going to do a bit of a discussion. I'm going to talk about some authors that you may want to explore if you want to take a deeper dive in the madness of the Cthulhu mythos. So, the idea for this video came off the back of the last podcast episode that we recorded with Steve over at the page twin slash Friday Conversation podcast. I'll leave a link in the description below if the episode is already out, where Steve, author John Houlihan, and myself, we sat down to discuss a couple of short stories and novellas from the master of cosmic horror, H.P. Lovecraft. Now, maybe, perhaps, you've read some of the stories, you're intrigued by that, and like I said, you're going to take a deeper dive, you're going to carry on reading this cosmological horror that inevitably leads into madness. So there's a bunch of authors that contributed to the mythos because Howard Phillips Lovecraft kept a close circle of correspondence that he encouraged to use his world to contribute, to add on to what he created. Amongst them, Robert T. Howard, famous for the Conan series, Robert Bloch, who went on to write Psycho, the novel, after that, August Derleth, Frank Belknap Long, and a bunch of others. So I've got some books here to show and some recommendations, so let's get into it. So right after Howard Phillips Lovecraft died, one of his closest collaborators and someone that encouraged him a great deal was August Derleth, who founded Arkham House alongside Robert Bloch and a couple others to promote and to keep the flame alive, so to speak, of the works of Lovecraft. He wrote a whole lot of short stories and so on. But the one I would recommend, and he's kind of like the direct, sort of on the timeline of the mythos. You start with Lovecraft. You may want to carry on with August Derleth and the Lurker at the Threshold. Now, this is meant to be a collaboration. Derleth did write on the H.P. Lovecraft name a lot. This is meant to be a collaboration, but about 50,000 words are August Derleth, and about 1,500 are Lovecraft's. It was just some ideas, some bits and pieces that Lovecraft had, and August Derleth kind of took him and wrote the story. But that is recommendable. And I'm going to leave it somewhere here. Then, from his circle of collaborators, there's a couple of World Fantasy Award winners, so really recommendable authors in their own right, not just because they wrote in the mythos. So I would recommend Frank Belknap Long, who wrote a great story called The Hounds of Tyndalos. So again, adding to the sort of creatures, folklore, and the horror in there, and that's a great story, The Hounds of Tyndalos. I really enjoyed it. Robert Bloch, pronunciation I'm uncertain, apologies. Again, he wrote a bunch of short stories. He's a Hugo, Bram Stoker, and World Fantasy Award winner, and I would recommend The Shambler from the Stars there. Another, keep on adding to the mythos. Another World Fantasy Award winner that contributed is Donald Wandrei, and the story The Fire Vampires. So again, and all these things, actually, credit where it's due, part of the codification and a great deal of the keeping of the law has got a lot to do with the role-playing game, The Call of Cthulhu, created by Sandy Petersen. And I had the fortune of interviewing Sandy Petersen, so I will leave a link in the description below to that conversation / interview. Another author that sort of predates the mythos, and you could sort of kind of include him there, was Algernon Blackwood with a short story called The Wendigo. So about the sort of wind Arctic cold creature from those kind of latitudes. So that's another one worth checking out. Then, kind of the next in line from the Lovecraftian, Cthulhian timeline mythos thing. So you had Lovecraft, you had August Derleth, and then a very young Ramsey Campbell, a British author who actually wrote and set a bunch of mythos stories in another fictitious county in England, just like Lovecraft did with Massachusetts, with the Arkham County. So he did something similar in around the Mersey River, around the Liverpool area. And that's Ramsey Campbell and his story collection, The Inhabitant of the Lake, which introduces the deity of Glaaki. Like I said, you have that straight connection there because a very young Campbell wrote to August Derleth. August Derleth published him. So you've got that kind of thing going, which I think is quite nice. Now, I've said this many times, and I'm really sorry for repeating myself and saying it again one more time. I've always maintained that the natural habitat of horror is the short story format, not the long novels. So if you want to carry on reading, and then you're going to have to grab hold of the countless short story collections that are available in the market. Let's have a look around Amazon. So I've picked a few over the years, and some of them are thematic and some of them are just a mix. So for instance, I've got this new Cthulhu collection, which includes, names like Neil Gaiman, Caitlin Kiernan, China Mieville, Kim Newman, Charles Stross, a bunch of others, John Shirley, and it's about sort of mythos stories, but set in a more present day, maybe like in the 80s and 90s sort of thing, like updated for modern times. So that's a collection worth checking out to see what other people have done. Another collection, this is from Titan Books and edited by S.T. Joshi, which is the biggest biographer of Lovecraft, is The Madness of Cthulhu. I think there were like 2 or 3 volumes with this kind of name. And this one, again, we've got people like John Shirley, Caitlin Kiernan, but then we've got Arthur C. Clarke, Harry Turtledove, a bunch of other people in here. I'm not going to name them all. So, again, another good one. Another collection, again from Titan Books, this one edited by Stephen Jones, which includes stories by Kim Newman, Neil Gaiman, Ramsey Campbell. You're getting the idea. Brian Lumley as well, so some recurring names. This one, Shadows of Innsmouth, sort of revolves all around the town of Innsmouth and the deep ones and Dagon and that sort of thing. So it's a bit more thematic than the more sort of generic ones in there. And then back to Chaosium, the publishers of the Call of Cthulhu RPG. They did these collected editions of writers predating Lovecraft and sort of contemporaneous as well, centered around different deities in the Cthulhu Mythos. And they had there was a whole collection, different volumes. So I picked a few. I picked the Ithaqua cycle, which again centers around the deity of Ithaqua, the Wendigo, and we got here Algernon Blackwood, August Derleth, Brian Lumley, a few other people here. There was a series called Call of Cthulhu Fiction, and I picked another one, the Nyarlathotep cycle. So these are pretty cool editions. Who we got here? Lord Dunsany, H.P. Lovecraft, August Derleth, Robert Bloch, Lynn Carter, Richard Tierney. So again, recurring names. Other people have taken the mythos and moved it to different time settings, different scenarios. So, like I've already mentioned, you can check out, I haven't read it, but I might be checking out Brian Lumley's The Titus Titus Crow series, which, in the words of John Houlihan, he said that in there, in those novels, the approach is not so much as sort of just falling into despair and madness, but actually actively trying to fight the threat from this cosmic horror. Obviously, I keep mentioning him, and I will leave a link in the description to the interview I had with John Houlihan. He said a bunch of stories during the Napoleonic Wars. So again, completely different setting, completely different writing style. But please check out the interview because it was really interesting to talk to him. Other people have done it during World War II in the Achtung Cthulhu series, mixing the Nazis and the interest for the esoteric, and it sort of blends quite well with Cthulhu. I haven't checked that out, but that thing is there. So as you can see, there's plenty of material to get your hands dirty with, to get involved with, and to delve way deeper into the mythos. And of course, I would recommend playing the RPG at some point if anyone, just a one shot to get a taste for it. Admittedly, my problem with all these collections is that I do enjoy them, I read them occasionally, but for me, I got so used to Lovecraft's own writing style that when other authors naturally and obviously write in their own voice or in their own style, to me it sort of doesn't quite click, because I just want more Lovecraft basically, and this is the closest that you're going to get. And the issue lies with me, because I just want more Lovecraft, and there isn't more. There's other people that have done something around what he set out. They've stretched it maybe in a different direction. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't, but it is there, and it's worth checking out in its own right. And I just need to change my mind. I just need to accept and move on. But anyway, this is all I have for today. As usual, thank you ever so much for watching. Please like, subscribe if you haven't done so. Thoughts, opinions, suggestions, let me know in the comments below. Take loads and lots of care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.